And we just started the recording.
Learning from you.
Reb, the running to the bus stop is stealing Torah. All right, we're just going to play the medley quickly. We're going to play the medley.
Oh, no.
Clever Bezrat Hashem, Yaslas in Yerushalayim. That's all we need to see. Chevra, there are 88 days until the Heilige Chanukah. There are 4 days until Rosh Hashanah. There are 2 days until Shabbos Kodesh. What more can we ask for the Ribbon Shalom? What more? We have everything right now. Everything right now. Shasavli Kol Tsarki. Chavra Tefillah B'Shem Kol Yisrael. For Pesach, Reuven ben Yosef Asara. Pesach, Reuven ben Yosef Asara. Baruch Bas Yehudis. Yonah Bas Basya. Shira Bas Basya. Sinai Reuven ben Mani. And Emer Neshama and Klal Yisrael. Judging others favorably. Master of the world, through your holy sages, you have given us a distant hint of the exalted holiness of the Jewish people. Every single Jew is a crown. To the Holy One, blessed be He. Therefore, we want to ask you to help us always try to search for all the good points that are found in each Jew and judge everyone favorably. Even when people are against us and abuse and insult us, let us hold our peace and say nothing, even in our heart. Let us feel no hatred or anger. Bezrat Hashem Chavra, I know we all accepted upon ourselves today. We learned that halacha Baruch Hashem. Mamish the best halacha in the world, and we could use the teachings from Rav Itchamar Morgenstern to help enhance that. Kabra Azamra. All right, halacha l'maisa. We're on fire today. Why? Because it's the hardest Sichot in the world. Mamish, the hardest Sichot in the world. Halacha l'maisa. That's what we need. Kabra, I don't know if you know, but we've been sounding the shofar as of late. And just to give an introduction to this halacha, there are 3 types of shofar blasts. The tekiah, which is a long unbroken sound, shvarim, which is 3 shorter sounds, and trua, a series of short staccato bursts. I said that wrong. Wow, this is crazy English. I guess I could use the Israeli excuse. I don't know English anymore. I'm losing English. Wow. So, when referring to all the blasts together, they're called tekios. Geshmak. These blasts are sounded on Rosh Hashanah in a series of sets. Each set begins and ends with a tekiah. That's good to know, and has either a shvarm or a trua, or combined shvarm trua sound in between. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm going to stop myself. 9 of these sets, comprising a total of 30 blasts, are sounded before Musaf, and additional blasts are sounded at specific points throughout the Musaf service. Each individual shofar blast is called out first by the makre, right, which means the announcer, and then sounded by the tukeya. All right. So that was the introduction to this halacha, and now let's get into it. So the proper length of the shofar blast should initially be as follows. The trua is 9 short sounds. One should produce a shvarm by making 3 broken blasts, one after the other. The duration of the 3 broken blasts should be as long as 3 short sounds of the trua. Such the duration of the shvarm, too, is as long as the 9 short sounds of the trua. The one blowing the shofar must take extreme care not to extend the shvarm to the point that each segment of the shvarm is as long as 9 short sounds. For with segments of that length, one has not fulfilled his obligation even after the fact. It says here in the footnote not only must one not take, not only must one take not to initially produce sounds of that length, but if it was done that way, one has not fulfilled his obligation, the blowing must be repeated. All right. Amazing. The tekios are to be sounded as straight blasts. Amazing. So this is part one of the part two of this halacha, and we'll continue that halacha Bezrat Hashem tomorrow. Cover, let's get right into it. Sicha Haran 86. So we're on part 7 on the Sicha. We could go until like part 54 and Mamish not know what's going on. We looked ahead and we see Sicha 87 is about Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and making it appropriate for one to possess a beautiful etrog. So that it just seems like a really good one. And we know Rosh Hashanah is Yom Rishon next week. So to go into Shabbos with that Sicha, that would be nice. So we're going to kind of go weiter with the Sicha, and this will be the last part, even though it could split up into 50 parts. And we need everyone's help, Mamish, every single line. And again, it's just, Yossi, I'm sorry for the introductions. But it is so important because we just have to think the Tzaddikim. We have to think the Tzaddikim. I don't do it enough. I'm sure you guys do it all the time. Mamish, the Torah knowledge that the Tzaddikim have, the grasp of the Torah, the full picture, is mamish unbelievable. I'm gonna cry. I mean, what would we do without BRI? What would we do without Rav Chaim Kramer? What would we do without Rav Ari Rosenfeld? What would we do without Tzvi Kramer? What would we do without all the tzaddikim throughout our times, throughout the past? And right here, Mamish, in the wisdom book, Rav Ari Kaplan, I think, translated and annotated by Ari Kaplan, he gives us all the sources to look at. Now, however, this may be a longer one today, because we're going to go into the sources because we haven't been going into the sources really beforehand. So maybe it'll give us a little bit of a taste of what's going on. So let's go weiter. It is customary for the dancers to do pristakes, raising and lowering their bodies. What do you call them? That's not how you pronounce it. Guys, I'm losing my English. You guys know. But the dance that Avi Kirkowski does, that's what we're supposed to do. Up and down the whole thing, pretty much low to the floor. Okay, raising and lowering their bodies. Gewalt. I think that's what Reb Nachman's talking about. And so it's a custom to do that. Right? Again, we're talking about wedding customs. Rabbi Nachman lays out a bunch of them and the significance behind them. It is written, I will go down to Egypt with you and I'll bring you up. This is in Sefer Bereshit. This is symbolized by the up and down motions, right? I will go down with you to Egypt. The exile in Egypt was to gather together the holy sparks from Adam's wasted seed. It says, there's a bunch of sources there. And I will bring you up. A wedding is the rectification of the covenant, and a unification. I will bring you up. I will bring you up. What does the Kutzker Rebbe say? This is the best quote ever. Horses walk in the middle of the road, not men. We're meant to go up and down. Rabbi Nachman says right here that sometimes up and downs are really just ups, because the whole point of going down is so that you can grow stronger and start over again, to replenish your mind and restore your vitality and renew your life. So the wedding being the rectification of the covenant and the unification, which means I will bring you up. It's showing us that the ups and downs are really ups. Chavra, let's go weiter. It is customary to interpret the Chassan's lecture. Right? We spoke yesterday that the Chassan is supposed to give a scholarly discourse. It's a custom to do that. Receiving the Torah, the whole thing from Har Sinai, the wedding. There's a lot. We could do Chazar on that. This symbolizes the breaking of the tablets, right? The interruption. So apparently, forget who. Maxla. Maxla revealed it as we were talking about this custom that at J.K. Cooperstock's wedding, he was giving a scholarly discourse. I'm going to say scholarly discourse, right? Because that's the lashon that's used here. It's just fun, right? So in Divrei Torah, the whole thing, you receive the Torah Shavuos for him, right? He has the complete Torah, the shining Torah. So he's giving over the words, and then he said it's a custom to interrupt. So he started niggin. I think he started niggin, or his friends did, but they all knew this custom from Rabbi Nachman. It's amazing. And I want to go back to the wedding video to see that play out. Anyways, so interrupting the lecture. It is customary for the best man to dress the bridegroom in the kittel, right? We all know the kittel is a plain white linen robe, and Chaver, this is where it gets big. Like mamash, this is where it gets big. Okay, so it is written, and Yosef will place his hands on your eyes. The son closes his father's eyes upon death. This is in Shabbos 151b and the Torah Yoridea 352. So those are the sources if you want to look inside. And then Rabbi Nachman continues, Yosef is the best man. Now, what does the best man mean? What does the best man mean? So it says here, Chavra, that the best man makes the preparations for the bridegroom, just as Yosef paved the way for Yaakov, who symbolizes the transcendental bridegroom, which is Rachel's husband, Rachel Imenu, who had Yosef, Atzadik and Binyamin, I believe, and the rest of the brothers from Leah. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, it says here that Yosef is the best man. It says here in Baba Batra, where we did some research, 123a, it says here, moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers. This is a pasuk, indicating that Yosef received one more portion than his brothers. Now, I'm going to go into a different tab. I don't know if you guys could see me or not, but I'm just going to read straight from the Gemara. And it says here, why did he see that he gave it specifically to Yosef? That was Rabbi Helbo's question, right? Why did Yaakov give the portion to Yosef? Okay, so it says here, Shmuel Bar Nechami answered Rabbi Helba, I will tell you a parable. To what is this matter comparable? To a homeowner who raised an orphan in his home. Eventually, that orphan became wealthy and said, I'll provide benefit to the homeowner from my property. Similarly, since Yosef HaTzadik sustained Yaakov in Egypt for a number of years, Yaakov saw fit to repay the kindness. But Chabal said to him, and if Reuben did not sin, would Yaakov not have provided any benefit to Yosef? It cannot be that Yaakov repaid Yosef only as a result of Reuben's sin. Okay, so I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Yosef was in Egypt for 22 years. 22 years, is that the correct number, or 17? I don't know. I don't know exactly, but he was in Egypt. The parable makes sense. Amazing. And the Gemara continues. Rather, doesn't your teacher Rabbi Yochanan say like this? It was appropriate for the child receiving the status of firstborn to emerge from Rachel, right? As it is written, these are the generations of Yaakov, Yosef, indicating that Yosef was Jacob's primary progeny. But Leah advanced ahead of Rachel with appeals for mercy, with prayer, and thereby earned the status as firstborn for her firstborn. But because of the modesty that Rachel Imenu possessed, the Holy One, blessed be He, returned the status as firstborn to her. This is why Yaakov gave the status as firstborn to Yosef. Okay. Amazing, Chavra. Okay, so that is, I don't even know if that's correct, but Gavalt Baba Batra 123a, just to explain, Yosef is the best man. The kittel is the garment of the dead, which symbolizes, right here, the bridegroom wears the kittel to remind him that he too is mortal and therefore must repent. Right? Because the chassan is such an lofty state, maybe this is what Rav Nachman is saying, and he's receiving the Torah Shavuos, it's the whole thing, he's mamish elevated, right? He needs to be reminded by the kittel that he's also in this world as well. He's in Olam Hazeh. And I forget this, we got to move back. We got to move back one cover. We got to move back. missed the most important thing, right? So it says here that the rectification, if we go back a couple lines earlier, that we spoke about going up and down the cuts for Rabbi Nachman's quotes, and it says here, I will bring you up. A wedding is a rectification of the covenant, a unification, which means I will bring you up. Now, what does this mean, Chavra? This refers to the atonement of the sexual sins, since a bridegroom is forgiven of all the sins. The giving of the Torah, the wedding of God in Israel, took place right after Exodus. Okay, so we know and that goes hand in hand. It makes sense that we brought it up. The kittel is very much connected to this Torah, right? The chassan is being forgiven for all the sins, right? He's in such a lofty place. It's mamash Yom Kippur. He's clean sleep the whole thing, and he needs to be reminded. Okay, so we move on. The last part in the Sichot Chavra, the last part, and then we will open it up and continue with Sichot 87 tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem.
Jack, is that why like grooms wear white shirts and like white? It's like you're white because it's like Yom Kippur.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But we know the significance of the kittel, right? The kittel is a reminder that we too are mortal and that we need to repent as well. Because it says here, the kittel is the garment of the dead. The kittel is the garment of the dead, right? The chassan is such in a holy state that I don't know. Maybe just needs to be reminded by Olam Hazeh, but what do we know? But that's a great question. We have to go into that. It is customary for the dancers to do somersaults. We spoke about this before, literally doing that dance, going up and down. So the dancers need to do somersaults. The revelation at Sinai was a wedding. We know that pasuk. There it is written, Moshe went up. It is also written, God descended onto Mount Sinai. Sinai then evolved the superior below and the inferior above. Thus, the dancers engage in somersaults. Very interesting. However, it's better to just look inside. I don't make sense, but to look at the Sichot and to just look at the Torah, the secrets that Rabbeinu is giving to us. It's mamish. It's so much hope. I don't understand anything. I'm sure you guys understand, but it's amazing the connections. Unbelievable. So it's just good to look in it ourselves because we're able to see, somersaults are not random at a wedding. You're right. Interrupting the bridegroom at his scholarly discourse. I love that scholarly discourse. Is not random, right? There's so much significance behind everything in this world, even by tying the laces on the shoe. Everything is so important every second, every moment. Okay. So yesterday, before we conclude, we spoke about how there could be connection with Sichot Haran 40, which we went over, talking about the world is like a dreidel, it's a rotating wheel. Rabbi Nachman starts off that Sicha with da, right? Knowing from our tzaddikim that the word da, when it refers to Rabbi Nachman, is coming from a very high place. People say, the tzaddikim tell us that it's coming from Atzilut, right? So it's a high place. We're not going to get into the full Sicha 40 and what that really means, but we know here that the last line in this part of this of Sicha 86, it says Sinai then evolved the superior below and the inferior above. Thus, the dancers engage in somersaults because you're going, below and above the whole thing. Okay, so Rabbi Rosenfeld helps us to clarify this. What does this mean? Superior below.
Jack, I got to run. Thanks so much.
Rabs, you're the best. You're the best. Thank you. The superior below and the inferior above. So what does this mean? Through these are all three different levels of creation, right? The origin is one because they all come from the one origin of creation, and they spin like a dreidel. Spinning means that sometimes you see an angel and sometimes you see human. At times you see an upper part of creation and at times a lower part of creation. These keep changing. We can't see it now because it takes a long time, but there's a spinning revolution where sometimes that which is above goes below and that which is below goes above. Right, so the world is a rotating wheel. This is the Beit HaMikdash, according to Rabbi Nachman, And Bezrat Hashem, there's a lot there. A lot there. Kevin, we got to see the Israeli. This is really fun. This is really fun. We got to see Israel sunset. We just got to. We got to. I'm going to take off the virtual background for a second because we're not pressed for time. Amazing. How do I do this? None. Awesome. Just look at it. Kevin, look at this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. Wow. Have a great night.